All right, we have a couple more calls. Let's get into this next one. I'm interested to see where this one's going to go. We have Saul from Missouri. It sounds like you want to talk about the 10 commandments. What would you
Yeah,
like to talk
well,
about with the 10
about Ten
commandments?
Commandments. I want to talk about the fact that God don't exist, and the Ten Commandments prove that because they're little tablets made of clay or stone. If God existed, He would not use a little tablet. He would cut a mountain in half and put it on the mountain 90 feet tall, like the presidents are carved into the southwest, northwest. Uh, like the bigger than the uh, pyramids or something else. He wouldn't do little tablets that a guy can walk around and carry. And
This is
another
very
thing,
interesting because we talked about miracle claims earlier on in the show, and I just wonder if we had now somewhere in the Middle East or the US or anywhere a great big mountain which had been rent asunder, no less, cloven in two, and we had the 10 commandments written on them in 30-foot high letters, and a story that it was God who done it 2,000, 3,000 years ago, would that be sufficient evidence that God actually did it? Or would we just be in exactly the same place that we are now with was it God? Was it just men who took advantage of a natural phenomena?
on, yeah, I agree with you. Uh, Everybody says, "Well, I pray to God." Well, God never answers. They pray to God, and He never answers. If if somebody was real, they'd answer. And if you're talking to somebody who's that much of a recluse that he will not talk to you, why are you believing in somebody as a recluse that's worse than Howard Hughes?
So,
This is stupid. I mean, and another
so I,
thing
I agree. I
they
agree with you that we need better evidence besides the 10 commandments on tablets. Like I agree. That's not convincing assertion. I also agree with you um, that if a God is loving and all knowing and the things that many people claim that he is, I do agree that he probably, it'd be reasonable to think that he would want people to know of his existence and all that. But I want to be very careful when talking about this particular topic because I think we're a little bit in danger of straw manning the other perspective here. Because I don't know, God could be a recluse, as you're saying. He could be somebody that just doesn't want to engage with humanity, and so that might be a theist might have that claim that God exists, but just doesn't care about humanity and wants to see us suffer. That would be a whole separate argument. Um, but I want to be careful with when we're approaching this. While I might agree with some things, that the way that we argue this particular point, that we're not making the same uh, problematic arguments that we see from the other side. So, um, even if God, like Richard was saying, even if God put the 10 commandments on the side of a mountain, we still run into, okay, how do we know that this was God? And then it seems a little bit like a similar problem to me. Richard, do you have any other thoughts on this one?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I don't know. I think if we're talking about the biblical God, there's a very 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 simple way that he could prove to everybody, according to the Bible, that he exists, and that is he could place sure knowledge of himself on our hearts. He does it. He does it in the Bible. It's something he can do. It doesn't mean that we have to worship him. We can still choose not to worship him. It wouldn't affect what Christians call our free will in any way, shape, or form. It seems to me ludicrous that that's not the way he does things. Uh, I do slightly disagree with the caller in that I don't necessarily think that just because God can do something, he does have to do it. If God wants to sit back and pretend he's not there, he can do. If he's all powerful and he chooses to do that, that's perfectly within his remit to do so. It does call into question the claims about God that religious people make, and that he cares for us and he loves us and he wants us to, join him in his eternal heavenly kingdom, wherever that might be. But I don't see that it's necessarily against any kind of laws of logic or any religious kind of I've lost my wording.
Okay,
Any doctrine that he should do so.
Another point I'd like to make. If God existed, and the Egyptians thought that he was at the end of the Nile, and when the man got to the end of the Nile, the floodwaters of the Nile, and found out that God wasn't there, and then the Greeks thought he was on Mount Olympus, and when they climbed Mount Olympus and they found out God wasn't there, and then the people in the 17th century and 16th century believed that God was sitting on the clouds, on top of the clouds. And after the Wright brothers, and we flew over the clouds, and God wasn't there, most religionists should have said we're stupid, so we forget it. But they don't. And the reason they don't is they're scared of death. They're scared. They want to believe that there's a life after death because they want a life after death, because they don't want to die.
So again, I think that is it's a possibility for some people. I don't want to put words in some people's mouths there. That I don't think that's everybody's reason for believing, and I really want to be careful that we're giving other people respect in not claiming their assertions are what they aren't. So I don't know how much farther we can really go with this conversation, because it sounds like to me we're just sitting back and arguing about what other people think about, and I don't know if that's really honest on our part to do that. I'd rather those people who believe those things come in and tell us what they believe. So do you want to talk to us about things that you believe, or
on the table. I was listening to a couple a week ago, and they say, I think, and they put the Bible. And they don't realize the Bible was written by Jews 2,000 years ago. It wasn't written by God, it was written by men.
Yeah, so I think we're kind of going in a weird circle. Maybe call back next week with something that you believe, because as much as I want to talk about this topic, I just don't think it's very honest to theists to strawman their argument on a show. So
okay, all right, thank you.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.